Today I'm honored to be speaking with Mr. Rajeev Jaswal, the CEO and founder of Gratitude. It's a global company helping organizations drive innovation through AI. And he has a background that includes leadership roles at Rapid7 and Red Hat, and a strong passion for cybersecurity, innovation, and building high-performing teams. Because of this, he brings a lot of insight into how technology can truly transform businesses and gives us information on how STEM can be used in real life. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.
So to begin, I first um, kind of wanted to take a step back and talk about your journey. So can you share a little bit about your time at Red Hat and Rapid to founding Gratitude and what really drew you into this world of tech and innovation?
Okay. So I've been in tech field for a long time, right? So started my career in the late '90s. So I'm old, and as we know, the evolution of tech has amplified over the last several years. So always was interested in technology and how it can make an impact, and that's what drew me is because technology has a meaningful impact on our lives. So that was my first motivation to actually embrace technology as a career option, because I could see the direct correlation between technology choice and the impact it has on our lives, right? So whether it is, you use navigation maps, Google Maps, Waze, or something for navigation, or whether you're using app for social media, or whether you're using an app for ordering prescriptions, there's a vast range of impact on our lives. So that to me is very interesting because you can see immediate correlation between your effort and how it makes an impact in someone's life. So this applies to both our personal consumption as well as corporate consumption within the companies, right? My role at Red Hat and Rapid7, so I was a divisional CIO at Red Hat and then CIO at Rapid7. For people who don't know, CIO is a Chief Information Officer. So probably the highest level of technology superlatives in terms of titles you can get in a company, right? And to me, it was an honor and privilege to be in those positions because you are leading the charge for technology for those companies, right? And you asked, like, why did I start Gratitude? It was actually, there was a little bit of a burnout from the corporate side of the world after 20 some years of working in corporate world. There was a little bit of a personal burnout, so I actually wanted to take a sabbatical and then figure out what my next gig would be. And then entrepreneurship always excited me, so I have a good support system and they encouraged me to hey, you have all the necessary um, ingredients to become a good entrepreneur, so why don't you think about that? So that's how it started, and it started as an experiment, and 6 years later, here I am running the company. So very fortunate with all the right people, right circumstances, making opportune decisions, and then taking advantage of the opportunities that came along the way. So I'm fortunate to be an entrepreneur, have that work-life balance, and still do what I really love, which is using technology to solve problems. So that's, in a nutshell, is kind of a little bit of a color to where I was and where I am today.
That's actually so inspiring. Like, you decided to take a step back and then you're like, okay, I'm going to start doing this. So I also kind of wanted to ask you on Gratitude itself. Like, I looked at its website, but in your own terms, could you explain like the services it offers? And like, if no one had ever heard of your company, how would you describe Gratitude?
Okay, so first of all, I'll correct you. So it's Gratitude.
Oh, my
So
bad.
so it's so it's actually derived from the word gratitude, but it has gray in it, and so gray is a reference to the gray matter in our brain That's where we think and innovate. And then gratitude, you already know the meaning of gratitude. So my take was innovation with humility and intelligence, right? So that was the idea behind the name. So it's Graytitude. It's gratitude. So don't feel bad. A lot of people make the mistake of saying gratitude, but it's gratitude. In terms of our services, so we have a few focus areas, right? So we actually have transitioned from being a services company to a solutions company now. And there's a nuance to it. So if I have to explain what do we do, I would say there are 4 distinct areas. So on the services side, our one area is focused on what we call DevOps, right? So this is essentially for non-technical people or people who are not yet nerdy enough. They will actually ask, like, what is DevOps? So DevOps means development operation. So essentially, when you're doing software development, how do you streamline, accelerate your innovation to the market, right? So you can sit and write code, but if you cannot deploy it to production, the people will not see it. So then how do you accelerate that whole process? So we actually have a proven methodology of doing DevOps for enterprises. So that's one of our offerings. The second one is related to AI and MLOps and LLM ops. So MLOps is machine learning operations. So how do you streamline machine learning? Because if you are building machine learning algorithms, you have to now make the change, test it, then deploy it to production. So doing that whole process. So we do MLOps and LLM ops, which is large language models. So we do the ops around that, as well as we have AI services around prompt engineering and a bunch of other nerdy stuff, which probably high school kids or middle school would not be attractive to them. But these are all beneficial for large enterprises. Okay. The third one we have is we call it innovation labs. So in this, what we do is we do rapid prototyping. So we consume that service ourselves, because if we have an idea, we rapidly prototype, we prove it, we test it with the customer, they like it, then we put it into motion, right? But we also provide the services to our customers who have an idea and want to try it out, right? So rather than going full scale, they want to try the idea in a very controlled environment. So they work with us. We prototype for them. They look at it. We make some changes. It looks good. We give it to them, and then they can evolve it from there. So kind of think about we are innovation arm for some of our customers, right? So if you have an idea and you say like, oh, I have an idea about this app, right? And you have an idea, but then you don't know how to code. You don't know how to get it ready for production. You don't know how to design and do the user experience. So you can come to me. Our teams can work with you, understand your idea. They will tell you like, okay, so we can do a 6-week prototype or a 4-week prototype. Let's work on the design, all that stuff. So we will give you the full kind of a la carte service, and then create that prototype app for you. You like it, you use it, you're like, this is good. Now you say like, oh, I'll go find an investor and I want to now take this and do it. I will build my own team. So then you can actually, so you have a starting point rather than like, oh, I only have idea on paper and I don't know what to do. So a lot of our customers use our innovation labs service to actually take an idea, build a concept, and prove it out, and then if they like it, they take it from us and run with it. Of course, we get paid for it. So, and then the last one is our product. So we are actually launching our product beta launch in August. And the product is an AI product which is focused on hyperautomation around these services, right? So it is an AI-driven hyperautomation product that we'll be launching soon. So again, I gave you a lot of nerd talk. Don't get scared. Hopefully you don't fall asleep, but this is what we do. So not very exciting for kids, but definitely exciting for enterprises.
No, I surprisingly kind of find it interesting because normally when I hear about AI, it's like, oh, AI is going to be the next field of technology, and I'm just sitting there like, um, okay, good to know. But it's good to hear like, oh, AI can be used in this specific ways. At least it makes some more clarity, at least for me. So
Okay.
thank you for that. So I did kind of my own preliminary research on AI, just basic Google searching and deep dives into like Harvard websites and whatever.
Yeah.
But to like, a complete beginner who just has somehow never heard of what AI is, how would you describe it?
So there are two facets to AI in general, right? So one is the reality, and one is aspirational, right? So the aspirational one is that, oh, eventually the computer intelligence, the machine intelligence, will not only supersede human intelligence in terms of processing, which is already there almost, but also in terms of rationalization, understanding, emotional intelligence, all that stuff, right? So that's the aspirational piece. The reality is that we are still in the we are still at the tip of the iceberg, right? So when we are doing generative AI, we are still training based on legacy data, right? And then we are trying to answer questions based on that data. We have done as a society, we have done some deep learning around things, and the AI today is able to process large amount of data and make some assumptions and give you an answer. But the problem right now we have is that the reliability is low. As in general, the reliability is low. Because if you have heard about hallucination, so we humans, we make up, if we don't know, sometimes we make up answers. AI does it too, right? So that's called hallucination in AI. So that's a big problem. So that's part of the reality, is that a lot of these large language models like GPT, Gemini, or some of the other ones, they do hallucinate. So think about where AI is actually going, is actually trying to solve not only tedious day-to-day problems, but it's going to solve a lot of complex problems, right? So it can solve problems like drug discovery. So to come up with a compound for a drug, I can take a lot of data, research data, clinical studies, all that stuff, and I can come up with a compound with certain efficacy. So you can solve bigger problem with that, right? You can solve traffic congestion problem. You can solve city planning problem. You can solve a lot of stuff, right? So the promise of AI is actually very, very good. The challenges right now with AI is that uh, there's a lot of hype around it. There's a lot of uh, urgency around it, but sometimes the urgency and the capabilities are not aligning, right? But it is very promising. So I would say machines are gonna get intelligent. Your life is around you is gonna get more convenient. The big things will become the new normal. Will be different for you in 5, 10 years from now, right? Whether it is how you commute to school, work, or anything, whether how you order your groceries, whether how you interact with devices in your home, how do you interact with medical professionals, doctors, etc. How do you take care of your health? How do you understand your body? How do you understand entertainment around you? How do you understand your own preferences? How do you make choices, shopping, decision making, all that stuff, right? How do you consume information? How do you access information? All that stuff is going to change because the evolution of AI will bring new capabilities that you cannot even imagine, right? So that's what I tell people, is that instead of being apprehensive, circumspect, fearful, think about the possibilities, because it's people like you that are going to create those possibilities, right? So think about possibilities, not about fearfully saying, oh, it's going to impact my life in a negative way. Because remember, whenever there is advancement, whenever there is evolution, there's a self-correction that happens with it, right? So when we are kids and then we become adolescents and we grow as teenagers, we go from, like, say, 5'2" to 6 feet tall, right? And then what happens is we get stronger, we get bigger. So then we can be fearful. Oh, I'm going to get stronger. Am I going to punch everybody? No, you're not going to punch everybody, because you understand your own power, right? What you do is you start harnessing your power. You're like, oh, I'm going to join track and field. I'm going to play tennis. I'm going to play golf. Or my brain is working better. I'm going to be in mathnasium or whatever, right? Mathathon or whatever. So what happened is, even with the AI, as it gets better, we as humans will be those guardrails for self-correction. And then we will make sure that, and as selfishly as humans, we want to innovate. Because if you innovate, you're going to monetize, you're going to make companies, you're going to build products, you're going to change the world. So my message to all younger people is, don't be afraid. Rather, embrace and think outside the purview of, like, what can you do differently? Because if you're in 10th grade now, in 5, 6, 7 years, you will be primed to become to do your own startup, right? So if you start thinking about these things now, you will be those entrepreneurs who will be coming up with some amazingly innovative ideas around leveraging technology to improve lives, right? And I don't think we should be scared. I think we should be cautious, but I don't think we should be scared. We should embrace it. We should think outside the box. We should innovate. We should disrupt. And yes, the disruption has both sides, right? You get the benefits, and then, of course, there's disruption of the status quo, right?
Yeah.
But you embrace it, you figure out how to adapt to that disruption as well, both positive and not so positive. Yeah? Question?
Yeah, that makes sense. So I have one question, because what you just said was kind of inspiring, because I've been trying to get more into like technology and learn more about AI and coding in general. So I myself, and I'm sure like many people who are like around my age, are just kind of overwhelmed with all the new things that are happening. So what would you suggest to kind of be more specific in what you kind of want to learn more about?
Okay. So I will be a little controversial here. Right? I think software development as we know today, coding, will be practically gone in 5 to 7 to 10 years. Right? Because AI can actually write code better than humans now. Faster, better now, right? And as it evolves, it's going to be better. So you just state the problem and it will start writing code. Right? It will not only write code, it will comment on the code, it will create documentation, all kind of stuff, right? Which we humans are lazy. So I would say to all the people your age, right? When you are in the workforce, so you are in 10th grade, so in 6 years you will be in the workforce, right? 4 years of college, 2 years, 6 years, you will be practically in the workforce, right? If you want to travel and not work, right? So, the new currency will not be whether you can write code. The new currency will be how creative are you, how good of a thinker you are, how analytical you are, how can you come up with things which machine cannot come, right? So to me, if I have to tell people, focus on few things. So number one, focus on creativity. And when I say creativity, it means have amazing skills to frame a problem, to actually then dissect the problem. And when I say dissect means, okay, here's the problem. Who's facing the problem? How big the problem is? How can I solve that problem? What will be the impact if I solve that problem? So that is actually framing and dissecting the problem.
Mm.
And it might sound trivial, but it is not. That's how big companies are formed on. That's how Facebook was formed on. That's how Snapchat, Instagram. They understood the market. They framed the problem. They figured out the value proposition, and then they created a product around it. So what I would say, first of all, is be mindful of if you see a problem that you're encountering, try to frame it and dissect it.
Mm.
So develop the skill of articulating the problem, articulating how big the problem is, who is facing the problem, don't even worry about how can I solve it, but if you solve it, what is the impact? So then half of your goal as a founder that is really devoted to that, right?
Mm.
To focus on that, right? The second thing is um, understanding the patterns behind all these problems, right? And patterns come from what is the king now? Like everything is driven by this thing. Let me ask you, what do you think is one thing that drives everything today? All apps, all technology, everything's one thing that is fundamental now, and for AI, it's huge. This one thing is what if you don't have that, you cannot have intelligence, artificial intelligence. What is that one thing? It starts with D, ends with A. It's
It's
the rhythm.
data?
Yes, it's data.
Yay!
Good. See, it's smart. So data is very, very key, and we are producing data by the goal,
Mm.
right? So anybody who understands how to take data, how to dissect it, how to find patterns in the data intelligence. So anything related to data will only get amplified.
Mm.
Because without data, nothing happens. You cannot train a model without data. If we don't have data, we don't understand patterns, right? So everything is driven on data. So if you want to learn, instead of doing coding, learn anything around data analysis, statistical analysis, data science. So data is going to be the king. Will be the most thing. So data scientists, data engineers, data scrubbers, all that stuff. So these guys will have jobs because there's so much data to right.
Okay.
So something around data is so if you have interest in data, perfect, right? Because that is so. And if you're taking classes, learn statistics, learn calculus, learn regret modeling, all that stuff. These things will really help you when you're dealing with data related to AI, right?
Mm.
And the third one I would say is if you're right brain dominant. So if you're left brain dominant, you'll say, yeah, I love data. Give me a spreadsheet and I'll find things. But if you're right brain dominant and still want to be in tech, then understand the psychology of design.
Like,
Because the humans are better at designing things than AI.
mm.
So whether you're designing an app, whether you're designing an instrument, or you're designing an appliance, I think we'll have technology in it, right? But understanding the psychology of design is very important, right? So I would say getting that understanding and understanding the psychology of design and focusing on things what make consumers or user happy or sad or it takes them the wrong way. Right? But designers and user experience professionals will be demanded more. More consumerization is happening, and the thing is that when more technology happens, then it gets more things get more complicated. So how do you simplify the interface while obscuring the complexity? So the complexity is varied, but it is providing it in the most simplest way to consume it, right? So if you come and the phone to your grandfather, they will be like, oh well, right? Because
Yeah.
if it, then they'll be like, oh, how do I do this? How do I call Uber, whatever. So for you, iPhone will be like, it's easy. Right? So those are those titles will be in demand.
Yeah, that makes sense. More like soft skills, if that makes sense, like data analyzing and big design. Just
No, they're not soft skill, but a data skill.
oh,
Data will be hard. Your element will be software.
Okay.
And mediation and coming up with that's also software. But there is a quantifiable element in it because you'll have to do research on how big the problem is, the market telling it, etc. So it's a hard scale up. Remember, some of these hard skill eventually start going away because machines get better. If I tell you, 2082 times 1057, I'll give you the answer. We hit our limit. But if I put it on the machine, you'll be like, boom, here's the end, right? So constantly processing data, machines will do a better job. But then there are the ones understand the data that humans do a better job, right? So and the humans have to create the models the machine will use. But now self-learning models that are coming or reinforcement learning. So there's a lot of other stuff that is happening.
So can you give me just like a general idea what other challenges businesses have come to with Graytitude?
Okay. So let me ask you a question. What are the businesses in a business about? Like, what is their ultimate goal?
Make money.
All the businesses they're running, they have an ultimate goal, right?
Make money.
What is the ultimate? Make money, right?
Yeah.
So the number one problem they want to solve is how can I make more revenue?
Yeah.
But then around, can I make more money? So see, more money is different facets. So you can different ways. So one is how can I make more revenue? So if I make more revenue and if I'm somewhat profitable, I'm going to make revenue, right? The second is how can I not make revenue and improve my profit, right? So if you're selling for $100, cost you $60, so your margin is $40, right? So you can be like, hey, using how can I increase my margin, say 80%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now you may not make more revenue, but you will increase them. So that's efficiency. So you can increase the top line, you can increase the line, and the efficiency could be related to multiple things. Efficiency could be how you do things. Efficiency could be related to your people. Efficiency could be to your raw materials, what you're doing with them, right? So efficiency could be related to your ecosystem. If you are if you're manufacturing, you're sourcing stuff from partners for carbon effect, but you're not making all the you're getting parts from others. You make that supply chain efficient. That comes so there is always more revenue, more efficiency, but efficiency can come in like I want to hire.
Yeah.
So hiring 100 can I 50 save money and do the same of productivity, right? So related to people, related to your process, could be related to your hard knowledge. So there are ways you can do efficiency. Third could be is the faster decision making, right? Because if you are a company in a great space, if you're making decisions, the customer will take over and then they will hire you. So can decisions faster, can I nimble? So can in technology, AI be responsiveness, right? Can be in the you can use tech for innovation. Can I have new products? Can I make difference? Can I make faster? Right? You can also doing it for your customer experience because I provide better experience. The end is related to everything, whether it's hiring, whether operations, whether it's customer experience, all that stuff. Because if you have a good experience, you will work. You'll want to move to this. So I think in the end, it's related to bottom line. Can I make money and can I be more efficient in the process? I want to make money. I don't want to kill myself. Super efficient in the process of money. And that's the whole thing. Because even combining it for their own employees is important. Because if you're a happy employee, you better work, which can make more money.
Yeah.
Right. So there are a lot of examples, but that's the gist of it.
So I've always wondered just in general, like I know a business like a lot of what you talked about is like optimization, trying to make things more efficient, and a lot of that was like some processing. It makes sense, which is more like technical, but for stuff more like personal, like employees, customer service, like how do you like use AI to solve problems a lot more like person, if that makes sense?
Right. Okay. So let's take an example, right? So, core experience. So you're like, core experience is fluffy or nebulous. So how do you improve experience? So say I'm a company, I'm selling online and stuff like that. You go to my, first of all, how's your interacting the website? So I can use technology to improve experience. So say, for example, I'm an apparel company. And so you go in and you're like, I like clothes. I make experience better with AI, for example. So I can create an AI through on the web. So if your avatar or whatever, or you can upload your picture, your face, and everything. Like, oh, I want to try this hoodie. So you can pick your avatar, try the hoodie, Rishika's face is there. You're like, it looks great. I want to buy it. So that experience where I stimulated what would really look like on me, right? So that's an experience. Okay, then I got like how easy putting in the card, checking out, all that stuff, right? The experience can be simplified, but the also customer service. But the hoodie I ordered large, I needed a small. I need to return it. How is your return experience? What is your experience interacting with customer support people? That stuff. So you can use it to actually track all that experiences. So you are, oh, it was a breeze, turn and get a new one. Yeah. Right? You can actually hack heavily the customer. If you have to ball, you can on your end, you can be chatting AI bot and it resolves it. Talking and say, hey, I have wrong size, I need it. And the bot says, okay, no problem. What size do you want? Oh, I want smallest. Oh, perfect. I have all your information. And we'll, do you want it? You say, yes, ship it to me. It will show this is the color and everything. You say, yes, this looks good. It will actually all that stuff ship it. And then it will say, oh, no, by the way, you need to return it. Should be concern it. If you don't return in these days, we will charge you for the hoodie we have shipped. Right? And it will immediately give a label to you. Here's shipping label, print it out there, put on the box that it came in, and just drop it location. Right? So how it is, like you were like, oh, okay, talk to any person, I'm going to have to wait for 15 minutes. And everything will say you can use technology in the bot and everything to resolve the problem. And then your bot can even ask you about anything else for you. The way you bought this hoodie, a lot of people like the baseball caps hoodie, they're interested, but no pressure. But it shows that your baseball cap, we ordered both. So now you're increasing the sale, all this, and you love good experience. That is one where your customer service is fluffy, but actually you can all experience problem with it. And same thing goes employees when you're a new employee at the company, right? You don't know even where to live. What systems I have to, what do I have to do? Imagine an assistant bot is there on your computer and you can answer all the questions. You might ask, okay, how many are there in during the summer that actually get how many leaves, blah, blah, blah. People are like, oh, there's Juneteenth off on Juneteenth, and July 4th, then we have so it can immediately, you don't have to go and then read it and say, oh, how many holiday breaks are we done this summer? For you, like, great. Then you can say how many vacations I have that I can apply. And then it'll say, like, oh, so you're joining thing, and you have days of November. And then, and then if you want to say, I'm taking vacation for 2 weekends, so the bot can's great. Description of why you want to take a description. It automatically says to your boss, they approve it immediately, client, and then in all calendar, so your is somebody, your colleague is still rip office because she's taken it off. So the experience like today when people first go in, like work there or something, their vacation thing, user has to go in there. Then someone notified the user has to go in the calendar for that. There, so all there like you have to do, but imagine and then an assistant. Okay, employee example. A lot of to kind of deviate topic, well, it kind of is. I've heard like a lot of stuff. The AI is biased against like certain because of the data was fed. It's biased a woman or like some specific race. Ever been a situation experience where that has happened to kind of fix it? No, I only haven't encountered inadvertently to introduce into the model. So I personally believe it does it intentionally, right? What happens is mistakes, little bit of maybe ethical approach to creating the models. The models will can introduce biases into the model, and they want to introduce it because what is king, the data. So if you're saying from your system, old system, a model that itself could have these. Those biases get trans into example, like let's just very very simple example. Let's say you are in a model, right? Personal life, right? So you're creating a model, and then you want to the model we predict my friendship for me. right? And how many friends will I make? How many friends will I make? And then in my real professional life and so forth, the friendship. You have to enter data. So you're taking all your friends and training the model, right? From A, when you take care of all your friends, you can send everything. You're taking their info, their name, first name, where to deliver, all that stuff into your model. Now, do you think the prediction will have bias?
I probably will because I mean, like, because the one making the stuff is gonna have bias. It's gonna be biased to people that I remember more or that I'm closer to now. I have been better friends for.
Okay, so you're right. So one is your memory bias, right?
Yeah.
The people you have really, really good experience on, they're the one here. So you could have recency bias. The people you put more now, you may enter, but you may forget the first grade, second grade, right? You may not remember. That's one. Second one could that have a mental bias. Maybe you a lot with it, right?
Yeah.
So people, so now what will like your data if you ever say, what if you're 90 people of Indian, right? And maybe three Hispanic people and maybe African and bigger, right? So your data came towards the north. And the model is predicting, oh, America is highly likely to only be friends with the north. So this doesn't indicate that you're not changed. You might reverse in your future because you're living in assuming. But let's say you're diverse.
Yeah.
Find a lot of diverse, make a lot of diverse friends. Then your model will become because the model is saying like you will make friends people with these origin, but your real life one. So you're saying the model is wrong. Well, but the model on your past that. So as sometimes we actually introduce we introduce biases based on past anecdote, right? It is we got these many, but we selected these, we hired these many. And then they bias in the prior where we were hiring because they're must so down, right? Bias in that data, not bias factored in the model. So the resumes in the model, it will index it on your bias.
Yeah.
So you take out people qualified, but because they're already biased. Okay, so you be very careful what you using. Does the data inherit biases? And then how do you? And then what we call it goes. So how do you guardrail so your ball is not going to?
Yeah.
If you go bowling, so how your ball going into the gutter have to have some checks and balances into your model along the way. So it's pretty short, but you can introduce biases by and some very such anybody maliciously doing.
Um, so as a kind of like a final about just growth, how people can kind of get into the field. So, what role do you think education and internships play in shaping this future tech workforce?
So yeah, internships are always, but I always tell people enamored by internship is kind of gives you a little bit of a preview before you are watching it. So if you watch the trailer movie, you get a sense of if it's good or not. Right? The guarantee, and the trailer is awesome. But once the trailer's in, sorry. So the trailer could be awesome, but it could be the only the movie. I always tell people is they don't get enamored by it. What do you want out of the internship? Don't go act like, oh, you will look my resume. Other goal is like, what can I from this internship? If it's like making you just do work and less work, then there's no value to that, right? But if you learn something, if you learn work ethics, if you learn to interact in an environment, how to be a pro, learning new things, of course, making, then it's great, right? Go just for this point. Rather, young people focus on what do I want to do this internship, right? And don't just go like have disposable income. I can spend. Yes, great. But I rather people okay, it's an unpaid intern learn. That is more valuable than somebody $1 an hour or anything. Because this internship very important because your kind of like trampoline effect for your job. So if you learn out of it, you're finding good opportunities. Just spend the making money for intern, not really learn anything, then down the line, right? And more of the IT work at Google, you learn at Google. But if you get like, oh, M&M's and just outside and, not in the campus of high school and just learn anything, right? So I think it's beyond learning. So yeah, internship great. there are, I always people is that also focus on making an impact on the society. So if you get time to do things you love, but also helping, so whether it is volunteering at an org for seniors, or volunteering at DA for pet dogs or something like that, pet shelter, or doing Meals on Wheels, or anything. So those things as is important because they. So that's when your heart knows that, oh my God, my life is really, really good. That gives you gratitude, of humbles you a little, and gives you a life. So I think also you have to participate these things apart from solely focused on their career or technology or academics. And these things helps you a better contributor to the society.
And final question to wrap up. What's one advice you'd give to people who want to make an impact through AI in life in general?
General, would not even put AI in general. I think to me, one is be fear.
Mm,
I'm a dogmatic, like be someone else. Don't think like, oh, so and so is doing great, so I got it right. So
yeah,
just focus on being you and understand yourself better. You cannot understand anyone else till you don't understand yourself. So understand your blind spot, understand what we need, right? And then embrace, be comfortable in what because it makes you special. The moment you something else, make you special. You will win you. So my number one advice, fearlessly, you makes you special. And then, of course, we can all then get better, but again, don't live the life of them because you're rapid and you're always. And so let it come to you, but let it come to you when you fully out yourself. Right?
yeah,
So be a you. Like the true you is all. You don't have to worry about the true me enough or whatever. No, it's awesome. You embrace it,
mm,
right? It's
yep,
deep then
enough enough.
all right. Something else I can answer.
I think that's it for That's pretty much what I wanted to ask.
Awesome. They want to give you feedback. Impressive that adults who are actually not only curious, but like in the future, asking thoughtful questions and think to put yourself right. These come never easy because I'm feeling anxiety of nerves.
Yeah.
But I have to give you like from your outreach, your politeness to your how you be, how you follow. Right? Keep these things for yourself out there. Keep pushing. Keep learning. Keep going. And realize that, oh my God, the world is coming to me. Right? So the world will come as long as you close and start chasing things away from you. Be curious, be humble, and self in these situations. It can grow.